Now, the latest official crime figures are out and they have brought some good news. There have been some sharp reductions across the East Midlands as lockdowns kept people at home. But it's also prompted a rise in offences like fraud and harassment. Well, our social affairs correspondent Jeremy Ball is here. Welcome again, Jeremy. Now, big changes then, really.
Yeah, and it does look as though criminals are being affected by this pandemic as much as the rest of us, because these stats show recorded crime for the year to the end of September. Now, across the wider East Midlands region, those crime figures fell by 3%. But if you want to find a benefit from lockdown, just look at these details. Shoplifting down by 26%. Big drops in burglary, in vehicle crime, in robbery too, with people stuck at home, of course. Just look at this, though. A huge rise in stalking and harassment. Public order, that's likely to be COVID breaches. A rise too in both drugs offences and in fraud and computer crime.
And is this reflected right across the East Midlands? No,
the drop's been much sharper in Nottinghamshire. Recorded crime there down by 11% in a single year. Why is that? Well, partly a downward trend which began before the pandemic. Now, the Chief Constable thinks that's down to a different approach they're taking, which includes those more local Operation Reacher teams. He told me, though, that lockdowns had an impact too.
The opportunities for some types of crime have reduced due to COVID. So, for example, without so many students, some of the burglaries that you would get when students return, etc., have reduced. I think it's had an impact on the nighttime economy offences because clearly places haven't been open.
Big reductions in things like burglary, and theft and robbery, but an increase in things like fraud. Are criminals just moving online because of lockdown?
I don't think they're really moving online. I think people have got more confidence to report some of those offences to us. Clearly, fraud has been increasing online for a period of time. I'm pleased that the reporting's going up. We've built on the knife crime team. We're catching more drug dealers because the public have quite rightly, in most of their surveys, said, can you focus on this?
So that's Nottinghamshire. What about elsewhere?
Well, one really stark figure that jumped out at me in Leicestershire. Violence with injury surged by 49%, despite falling nationally. Now, Leicestershire Police tell me that's mainly because the force has improved the way it records those offences, but there does appear to be a real increase in assaults on their police officers, which include officers being spat at during the pandemic. Over in Derbyshire, crime rate's still lower than elsewhere, but they're increasing, they're catching up. And again, a factor there is likely to be historic under-recording.
OK, Jeremy, thanks indeed for that.